Okay, great. Hope you're all doing well. I know it's the last bit, so just a little bit to go. So today I'm just like to share with you some of my experiences with AI, and in particular, as the speaker earlier mentioned, utilizing ChatGPT in academia. And for a particular course that I'm teaching at the moment and experimenting with them, it's my third year psych organizational effectiveness class. And there's approximately 180 students in this class, and I can tell you more about that later. But for me, this is quite an intriguing topic, and specifically listening to the other speakers as well. And it's been making waves in obviously the field of education and in our teaching and learning methods, of course. So yesterday's seminar was also very extremely informative and reinforced to all of us that AI is here to stay, and it's continuously evolving, as you know. So I'll be discussing some of my experiences and learnings on the application of ChatGPT. We all know it's an advanced LLM. So just some background. So I've sourced, so each of these pictures generated by AI have been sourced by AI, and the pictures generated by AI, you can see I've put in the prompt as well. That shows you that it's actually an original picture that has not been used before. So if you put in the similar prompt, you may get something differently, right? Just to give you an example there. So gone are the days when AI integration in education was just merely a pipe dream, right? So it has now become a current reality, as you can see, and it's opening up new possibilities and some exciting opportunities for both educators and the students. So over the past year, I have had the privilege of exploring and implementing the use of LLMs as a tool to enhance teaching and research methodology within a higher education setting. In fact, we had a meeting at the start of the year discussing what can we expect from AI in terms of plagiarism, in terms of these chatbots, etc. And I'm of the opinion we need to embrace it, and I'll discuss more about it later with you. So in this presentation, however, I'll reflect upon a unique experience where I designed a scenario to help our students improve their critical thinking, their writing skills, and their understanding of AI's applications and limitations. And that's through the utilization of one specific chatbot. So there's many chatbots out there. So we're using the grand chatbot, ChatGPT. So I aim to create a dynamic learning environment that would engage and challenge students while equipping them with the necessary critical thinking skills to thrive in an AI-driven world, because that's going to stay with us. We will have to thrive in it, either adapt or die, right? So before we delve into the details, though, let me briefly outline the structure of the presentation. First, I just want to provide some context and explain the purpose behind our integration of ChatGPT. Next, we'll look at the methodology employed with the objective of enhancing critical thinking, highlighting its various components and how it can be implemented within an AI-generated world. So there are some valuable insights gained from this experience, right? And I'll conclude by summarizing those experiences and the benefits that AI integration in education can be and offer recommendations for future exploration. So let's look at this journey of AI integration in education, and we'll explore this world a bit more. So let's look at tell you just a bit of a story, okay? So picture this. So you're a student in the bad old days. Everyone says good old days. So you're trying to find a specific book in a massive library. I remember walking into the library at Wits some while back, and that was the norm, right? We had this magical index system called the Dewey Decimal System, right? And I guarantee you, I asked my students, if anyone's familiar with the Dewey Decimal System, zero. It's not a single student knows what it is. So I asked them to Google it. So it's like the secret code that helps you navigate the shelves and find the treasure you're looking for. So it's a bit like being a detective in the library. It's an index card system we used. So come around circa 25 years ago, something amazing happens, right? A superhero called Google comes in to save the day, saving you time. So with this mighty search engine powers, Google made finding information easy. Okay, we now had this what we call information on tap. Educators then thought, wow, this is it. It's the end of the library. But guess what? That story didn't end there, right? Instead of replacing libraries, search engines like Google Scholar and others became an integrated partner to the traditional library. So the institutions joined forces, formed an unbeatable team, of course, and it's like having the best of both worlds now. So the convenience and speed of search engines combined with the wisdom of the Charmin library creates this amazing partnership that we have, right? So let's fast forward to the future of AI. It's like the library adventure all over again, but now on steroids, right? So AI is evolving at lightning speed, getting exponentially smarter every single day. It's if you ask ChatGPT something, every other bot connected immediately, instantaneously knows the same information. And this is why even some of my students, I'll talk about the experiment shortly, where their prompts, the same prompt I use at the start of the semester, would not give them the same results. Okay, so in the world of education, AI is like that trusty sidekick for students and teachers. So AI-powered chatbots like ChatGPT are here to answer your questions faster than a speeding bullet, right? So they can even give you study tips, recommendations, tailored just for the specific student. So it's like having a sort of what they call a study buddy, right? Knows exactly what you need to succeed. But of course, it's about how you prompt the chatbot. So as educators, there's no need for us to panic just yet, right? So AI isn't here to replace the teacher. Actually, teachers are still the true superheroes. Okay, and AI and human educators make the ultimate partnership. So AI can analyze tons of data, personalize the learning journey, while educators bring their expertise, passion, that special human touch that's needed. It makes education special, right? So this is the reason for this, to integrate human knowledge with AI knowledge. So the future of AI in higher education is still a journey of continuous evolution and integration. Just as search engines revolutionized information retrieval while coexisting with libraries, AI now is poised to reshape education while working alongside the educator, etc., to create a more personalized and engaging learning experience. So why is critical thought extremely important in the day of AI? So I came across this article last month, and it was quite interesting for me. Okay, and see what the magistrate said about it. Because the human brain, why is critical thought extremely important? Human brain must have the ability to differentiate fact from fiction. This is why Magistrate Arvind Chaitram's comment here sparks a discussion on the importance of critical research in the context of using AI technology in the legal field, yeah, and importantly, in the field of higher education. So while AI can streamline the research process, it is crucial to understand that it should not replace the fundamental skills of independent reading and analysis. And this is why this is such an important quote by the magistrate. He says, when it comes to legal research, the efficiency of modern education still needs to be infused with a dose of good old-fashioned independent reading. Right? So that's quite profound coming from the legal system there. Because critical research entails more than simply gathering information. Even when it comes to standard research. Okay, this is why I implore my students to not merely summarize nice scholarly articles that they found using Google Scholar, right? But they need to synthesize theoretical discourse into a coherent discussion, arguing and validating information using appropriate evidence. So it involves assessing the reliability and credibility of sources, identifying biases or gaps in the literature, and evaluating its relevance and applicability. So students must independently review materials so that they can develop that deeper understandings of the topic, identify fundamental principles, and apply them effectively to support their arguments. And you'll see where I'm going with this now, why the critical thought process is the aim of this experiment was to develop students' critical thought. And at third year, you'd expect this critical thought process to already be there, but surprisingly, it still needs to be worked on, specifically now in the evolution of AI. Okay, so having said that, AI technology can undoubtedly assist students in accessing vast amounts of information very efficiently. So it can provide quick search results, generate summaries, and identify relevant theoretical cases, possibly. However, when explaining this method to some of my students, I remind them that it is essential to approach AI-generated results with a critical eye, questioning the accuracy and comprehensiveness of the AI-generated findings, considering the potential biases in the algorithms, and verify the information through independent research. So some of the speakers yesterday already mentioned these various biases that may exist. So it's then also crucial for students to be well aware of these inherent biases. Okay. So let's talk more about critical thinking. So maintaining that skill of independent reading and analysis is crucial for several reasons. Firstly, it allows students to identify nuances, distinctions within academic materials, and which that AI may even overlook. It enables them to draw connections between different theoretical models and principles, strengthening their arguments and discussions, their discussion strategies. Secondly, independent reading helps students develop a deep understanding of the theoretical context surrounding their scholarly topics, enabling them to respond effectively in a research setting. Finally, it nurtures the critical thinking skills necessary to evaluate the challenge of AI-generated results, ensuring that our students can extract accurate and reliable information in this sea of information. Okay, so while AI technology has obviously brought this unprecedented efficiency to research, it should be viewed as a valuable tool that complements rather than replaces the critical research skills of academics and researchers. So by infusing the benefits of AI with the practice of independent reading and analysis, the student can harness the full potential of both approaches, ultimately delivering more robust and persuasive arguments. Developing and maintaining critical research skills will, of course, continue to be a cornerstone of academia and higher education, enabling students to possibly navigate the complexities of the sea of information and within higher education. So you'll see the whole idea behind this experiment was, so I created this sort of pseudo experiment, and the whole idea was to investigate the application of AI, being the student writing the essay on a particular topic in organizational effectiveness, and then to discover the impact on students' response to utilize it, particularly at the undergraduate level, and well, undergraduate, but quite experienced undergrads. And by utilizing then this advanced LLM, specifically in this case, ChatGPT, I then wanted to explore the authenticity and efficacy of AI-generated content in response to a specific essay prompts. Also, the aim was to then foster critical thinking skills among students by comparing the AI-generated content with traditional research methods. And I'll show you the what it was about in terms of, I will give you show you a picture of the actual essay or topic that I gave the students. So what kind of methodology that was used? So this was the assignment. It was due a couple of days ago. So the prompt to ChatGPT was, so each student or each participant was then provided with even one standard essay, one standard prompt to ChatGPT. So the complexity of the prompts was gets complicated in terms of what do you want out of this chatbot? Like, how do you speak to it? How do you engage with it? So initially, I did also wanted students' input prior to engaging with the actual output from the generated ChatGPT essay. So I asked students to record their own initial thoughts and ideas on that given topic. So this just served as a sort of a baseline for them to evaluate the AI-generated content. So what I did is I used the same exact assignment from last year, or the last course. And the difference with this was that I asked ChatGPT to write the essay. And then I asked the students to then critique what came out of this essay using scholarly methods. So this is what ChatGPT generated in terms of that specific prompt. And you'll see if you had to put in this prompt again, the answer would be different because it's been evolving since the start of the semester, of course. And it may be a more accurate sort of essay that would be generated, but I don't know because I haven't reused it. But I asked students to evaluate this specific generation of that specific prompt that I gave them. So that's what it's hard. I think it's a bit difficult to see, but that's what it generated. So students had to now read through this essay and then critique, and they were required to then synthesize their findings and compose a research paper adhering to obviously the standard academic structure, introduction, literature review, methodology, etc., and conclusion. So the research paper allowed students to the research we're going to hand in. This allowed them to articulate their own thoughts in an academic and systematic way, in order for me then to gain insights into their own independent critical thinking skills by assessing these essays. So the use of AI tools beyond the initial ChatGPT interaction was explicitly discouraged. They would have to use traditional research methods. And this restriction aimed to then evaluate the student's ability to discern the strengths and limitations of the AI-generated content without then relying on any additional AI-driven assistance. Okay, so and utilizing just conventional research methods, which means going and looking for the actual sources, and I don't try and use as much contemporary resources, contemporary academic sources as possible, because we know ChatGPT, in this case, is limited to 2021. And so we got some typical during the course of the semester, or the course of the block, typical questions and queries from students, and most of them were asking this. And I can guarantee you, after lecture, I only left the lecture 45 minutes to an hour later because a lot of students was queuing up, trying to bombard me with these questions, the same questions. So most of them were, can you please clarify me in simple terms, the assignment to, all right? It's not on artificial intelligence, about critiquing and being critically thinking about the output of artificial intelligence on a topic that they should be very familiar on, right? So they've got the research skills for that. So this specific student said, even after they read the example, I'll show you the example, because of all the sort of complaints I was getting from them in terms of that, I produced a semi essay, like about half of the essay, as an example of how to go about critiquing the information from this artificially intelligent driven or generated essay. So this student asked, I would like to ask if it's possible that you provide my classmates and I assistance in regards to how to approach the formal assignment. Many of you, they say, well, they're speaking for everyone, I suppose, yeah, that many of us know how to critique a essay format and your assistance be. And this is a third-year student, so you'd expect them to have more critical skills. So I provided them with this example. And the example, I started writing the paper as a standard academically formatted paper, where you're critiquing the output from the constructs that have been generated by ChatGPT. Were those constructs valid based on the topic, etc.? And you'll see a lot of flaws in that specifically generated essay from ChatGPT in terms of the theoretical models, because it fabricated quite a bit of information in terms of that essay. For example, it will say an HR manager requires interpersonal and communication and or interpersonal skills. So I said, go and find the theory that supports that an HR manager requires interpersonal skills, because interpersonal skills is far more multifaceted than just interpersonal skills, for example, because it consists of communication, consists of emotional intelligence, etc. So just as at the moment, I'm still receiving their full essays back just to analyze it. And so I've just got some examples of some of my students, which they've just updated or supplied now. So this was uploaded very early. So just by reading the critique, just by reading this essay, I can immediately tell whether it's generated by AI or not, right? So you can see the students has written this introduction, etc. And just to double check, I've got an AI detector, the pay-for AI detector, which is this most superior on the market at the moment because you have to pay for it, obviously. And when I put it in the AI detector, it showed me that it's 99% human, 99% original, 1% AI, which is very good. Then you can see the student had followed the instructions of the assignment correctly, and they are critiquing without the use of generating a AI-generated essay, right? But they are utilizing AI information by looking at it and finding where the constructs that AI has generated are valid and some are invalid. So some of the constructs are and some are not. So then the student finds the relevant evidence to support whether this construct is valid or not. So let's look at this student's essay. So if you look at this student's essay, just by reading this paragraph alone, I can see this is being generated by artificial intelligence because the way it starts. Okay. And if you look at the detection, you can see that's 100% AI generated essay that the student had submitted. So now we sit in a bit of a dilemma. What do you do with that information? What do you do to the student for that information? Or do you confront the student, or do you mark more harshly on that? So that is a dilemma we haven't solved yet. Okay, because Turnitin has just left us high and dry at the moment, so we can't use Turnitin. So we have to now use our own skills as educators to determine whether the difference between this essay written by the student and this essay written by the student. Okay, if any questions, ask ChatGPT. Joking.
Thank you, Ben. Very.
Yes, your question? How did students feel about participating in an activity that entailed them critiquing? They were at first very a lot of my students said this is the first time they've had such an assignment, such an essay to do, etc. So I provided them guidance with a mini essay. So the mini essay consists very structured, and it consists of them actually justifying why specific sources they'd be using in their essay, in their main long essay. And there were, I can tell you, it overwhelmed me in terms of how much. When there's 180 students asking you the same question and delaying, they after class, they're just waiting to hijack you after class. But I said, because the reason why it's a different assignment, different type of essay, is because we did not have AI a year ago, right? We did not have it at this level a year ago. So things are different, things are changing. And I want you at the university, and in this school in psychology, we're not going to ban something as AI because I tell them the story about Google. When Google came out, we had the same fears. We thought students would not be going into the library. They're going to be able to get information as quick as possible. But however, then Google Scholar came out, and we realized that some of the information in a normal Google web search does not actually give you the truth because there's no evidence to support it.
Thanks for that, Ravin. My apologies. I was kicked out and, of course, brought back in. So how did your students feel about them? I don't know if you've answered this, about them actually critiquing AI-generated content, because it's something that they haven't done before, right?
Absolutely. So some students did enjoy it. Some students did enjoy the topic and thought it was a very clever way of not being, and also protecting them from plagiarizing things. That's why I told them from the start of the semester, best you start with this assignment now, because I'm not going to be answering questions on it at the end of the semester, at the end of the block, which is happening. So they, and the reason for this is for them, they're going to be in the industry, they're going to be going out, and this technology is evolving so rapidly and so quickly, and we are creating a digital divide. There's a digital divide, digital gap being created specifically in Africa. We're going to be left behind. If you do not know how to use this technology, you will be left behind. So instead of being scared of the technology, embrace it. This is why you as a human being, you're able to critique information being generated artificially, right? Because you are able to do the research and find the evidence to support your argument, to support what's generated by the AI, or to say that the AI had missed certain things. So eventually, at the end of this, I extended this assignment right to the last day of block. Right, it got a 2-week extension because students were like, come on, we need help here. But I think at the end of the day, they got the idea and the reason behind this. And this essay counts, I think, 25% for the module.
All right.
So, but I did get it approved by the head first.
Your disclaimer. Fatima, did you want to say something?
Thanks, Nazira. I just wanted to ask Preven, if your students, how many use ChatGPT to sort of cheat, like wholesale, and I'm also interested to know how you sort of, or you haven't met with them since this assessment, have you? So, or what's your plans on, dealing with this?
So you can see some of them are still using ChatGPT or any some other chatbots to answer this question, and you can see immediately that the chatbot is unable to do this critique because it's something that a chatbot has generated. And so your question is, are they using it? And surprisingly, when I did ask at the start of this year, a lot of students were not aware of the technology or how to use it effectively. So because it was pretty new in January, February, and it started evolving rapidly now. Now we've got hundreds and hundreds of AI sort of platforms that they can be utilized. In fact, I mean, all those pictures are generated by DALL-E. And DALL-E has actually evolved as well quite a bit since the beginning of the year, because I was getting quite, dodgy pictures at some point. It's starting to look clearer as well.
I guess that question is sort of like the intervention. So once you find a student's been cheating, what are the measures that are put in place?
So that I asked that to my boss, and she's not too clear on what to do, because you cannot really penalize the student. But I know I'll be able to maybe. So what I do at the start of my course, like I show students. Let me see. I show them that I have a very powerful AI detector, and this detector is continuously evolving just as fast as the other AI, or just as fast as the other AI platforms, because it's a paid-for platform. Its focus is on detection of AI.
Yes.
And I've tested it over and over, and it works pretty.
Yes, I have heard Originality.ai being used also by Anna Mills, and she's quite a strong critique of like sort of Turnitin or so. But in a recent presentation, she's a writing specialist, right? Very vocal voice on critical AI literacies, but she does mention that seems to be the one tool that's quite effective right now. Originality.
I think yesterday the professor from Manchester, I think it was, she mentioned that students are going into Coolbot, and you go into Coolbot and you change it and you paraphrase in Coolbot, and then it's undetectable. Yes, it's undetectable in GPT-0 because that's a free app. So it's lagging behind in the technology. And
so then Originality would still be able to detect after various transformations.
Yeah, I've tested it. Sure. But it's not endorsed by the university because it's not a university tool. But it gives me, because when I suspect that there's AI being used, and I can just use that to verify or not. And that's why I like to see, when I see something like this, then the students actually been utilizing, their own minds and their own critical thinking. When you see something like this, the student got desperate right at the end and just submitted in anything just to meet the deadline.
Yeah.
And at the start of the course, I show them all these AI tools. I show them I've got Originality, right? I paid 2,000 Rand for it for the year because it's good. So I've used it, and so I show them that, and they're like, oh, So you don't think we're
No.
getting left behind here. We also know what's going on out there, even though it's a Department of Psychology.
Mm.
No,
So
thanks,
you're
Prevendran.
using some psychology on them there with
Exactly.
evidence. All right, thank you, Prevent. This was so insightful. I don't know if colleagues want to comment or have any other questions. We've passed the time, but I would like to encourage you to complete the conference evaluation form for day 2, please. If you take a few minutes, that would be awesome. Otherwise, thank you so much, Praveen, and to Shalini for this session. Very insightful, and we look forward to more presentations in day 3. Thank you very much, colleagues, and have a great afternoon. The recordings would be available, but please do take time to complete the evaluation form. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, Nazira.
Bye.